Fear of retaliation rules the day at local unions across the country, and O'Brien's attacks on dissenters are well known. He has threatened and continues to threaten members of his own general executive board.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Speaking of not being scared of a fight, y'all may remember Mullin, Markwayne Mullin, how Sean O'Brien in the Senate chambers was, pretending like he was getting ready to fight Markwayne Mullin. And at the time, that's not something I would do. I do think it's beneath the dignity of the office for both of them. And I think it's kind of immature and whatever. But if you're going to do that, you have to stick by it. You can't back off, or you cannot be the first one to back off. And yet he was. Here's from The Hill, an interview with Markwayne Mullin, recounting the call with Trump. Trump called Markwayne Mullin. Mullin said the former president told him, "Hey, I just met with Sean," speaking about Sean O'Brien from the Teamsters. "I'd like for you to meet." His point was he'd like to bring the unions, the Teamsters, into the Republican Party. This is the assertion that Mullin is saying that Trump is saying about what Sean told him. So, we're like three or four degrees of separation from this comment, but that's not great. Mullin is asserting that Trump asserted to Mullin that Sean O'Brien says, "I would like to bring the Teamsters and the unions into the Republican Party." So anyway, back to Trump's quote. "And so Sean and I worked out a deal to go sit down at a restaurant," he said. He added, "When they did meet, O'Brien stood up and apologized." The Hill has reached out to the union for comment. Quote, he said, this is Mullin again, saying, "Sean O'Brien said, out of all the people that I should have read their bio on, I should have read yours, and I didn't," because Markwayne Mullin is a former MMA fighter. Mullin said, "And I found it humorous, and we sat down and we had a great 2-hour conversation. Since then, him and I have talked very often. He's a workout fanatic. He's a guy that pulled himself up from his own bootstraps and grew up in a blue-collar household." And so, what's the word? Defenestrating. Is that a word? Really just beta behavior here from Sean O'Brien, unfortunately, with Markwayne Mullin, being the first one to apologize. And after this whole thing, it's just, really, really, really kind of sad and embarrassing. I would be very embarrassed if I were Sean O'Brien with this behavior. And then finally, the last thing that I wanted to say about the Teamsters, and then we'll bring on Alex, is that after all of this, Sean O'Brien spoke at the RNC. There was a lot of political fallout from that. He's apologized, said, "I'm so sorry. I should have saw that you were an MMA fighter," to Markwayne Mullin. All of this kind of stuff. John Palmer has announced that he is running for general president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. He wrote in a public statement on Twitter saying, "Dear Teamsters, sisters, and brothers, having experienced 2.5 years of General President Sean O'Brien's tumultuous presidency, I am announcing my candidacy for a Teamsters national office in the 2026 election for officers. I invite all Teamsters to join with me in forming an opposition slate to send Sean O'Brien back to the truck. Let's put an end to the false promises, business-friendly unionism, and concessionary backroom deals." And he also excoriates in this statement the TDU, saying that the administration rode into power on a wave of excitement generated by our members' desires and frustrations. We were promised a more engaged leadership and a more militant union. What we have received so far is a PR blast furnace of misinformation and betrayal. The coalition created between TDU, reformers, and old guard officials has in effect bought off opposition by handing a few cushy jobs to some TDU members at the Marble Palace. This coalition has successfully silenced all criticism from these so-called reformers. Fear of retaliation rules the day at local unions across the country. Leaders fear trusteeships if they fall out of line, and O'Brien's attacks on dissenters are well known. He has threatened and continues to threaten members of his own General Executive Board.
Well, I guess the Valley Labor Report's not getting a check from the Teamsters.
We're probably not going to be getting... Yeah, if Rick Smith's not getting sponsored by the Teamsters anymore, I guess we aren't either. Which is, which is a shame. Like,
I do have to say, it really pisses me off when I hear reports of union leaders cracking down on dissent.
Yeah.
The thing about our unions is that they should be democratic institutions. And, I get that there's a certain amount of respect that you pay to the office, but at the same time, we have to have room for disagreement and dissent within our unions. That's really, really important. And so, I see both sides of this. Like earlier, we talked about the situation with Sean Fain and, how he was elected on a slate of reform. And so some of the old guard has to go, right? At the same time, there has to be room for disagreement, right? And so if there are UAW members who are disagreeing with whatever Sean Fain is doing, either from the right or from the left, they should have the right to voice those opinions free of retaliation. And that goes for any union, as far as I'm concerned. Teamsters, anyone else, union members should have the right to voice their opinions, feel the way they want to feel about their officers and leaders, and be able to organize around that. And it's really disappointing. So
yeah, I agree, and it really is disappointing. I said when some of this was first made public about Sean O'Brien threatening Rick Smith, I said that it really is one of the absurdities of the labor movement, because Sean O'Brien's not the only one. The labor movement is a movement whose driving force is democracy and freedom from industrial tyrants. One of the absurdities about that movement is that a lot of people at the top actually demand 100% loyalty, and when they don't get it, they will even do damage to themselves and their unions to punish dissenters.
Yes. Do we have stories on that.
Yeah.
But we have callers on the line, so we'll keep it going.
In my view, that is what I like to call boss shit. And fighting boss shit is why I joined a union. So so there you go. Those are some of my thoughts. We've got Alex in the Zoom, and we have a caller on the line. So we're going to take the caller. We're going to be really quick with the caller. We'll keep it to about 5 minutes, and then we'll get to Alex. Appreciate everybody's patience. Caller from a 256 area code. 256 area code. What's your name, and where are you calling from?
Jacob, this is Joe calling from Decatur.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just wanted to weigh in really quick on, ask the question first, and you don't have to call nobody's name, but the local president who was asking you about Sean O'Brien's speech, was he from Alabama?
He was, yeah. It wasn't a Teamsters local, but yeah, it was a person from Alabama, yeah.
Well, I don't know how much he keeps up with the real labor movement in Alabama, but all he's got to do is just look at Alabama's stance on the automatic recognition, and that'll tell you what Republicans think.
The president was coming to me like concerned, right? The president was like understanding and politically sophisticated, and he was like, I have members that are, who are, so you have people that are just not as politically sophisticated, and so they only see the headline, they only see kind of the outlines of what's going on, and the outlines and the directional movement of Sean O'Brien's speech at the RNC, I think gives cover to the Republicans, and it kind of obfuscates what's going on. But yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, that's all you have to do, especially if you're from Alabama. You just have to look and see at what they're doing.
Well, the answer you just give me makes plenty of sense. I wouldn't necessarily calling the guy out for not knowing what was going on, but if he has to relate that message to his members, probably ought to do that every month at the union meeting, and maybe they'll get the message sooner or later. And I know there's members out there that would like to have an excuse to take up for a Republican. They're out there. I had plenty in my local. They looking for an excuse to take up for them. Really quick. Sean O'Brien y'all, anytime a local union or a national union gets invited to a meeting from their adversary, generally it's to work off the company's agenda. Never have I been called to a meeting with the company where they was going to call us in there and tell us what a wonderful job our local was doing, making their profits. That never happened. It was always something they wanted, and always detrimental to the workforce every time. Never can't remember a time that anybody gave us absolute credit for doing the production that was setting records and stuffing their pockets full of money. That's just John O'Brien should have had better sense. One on going to wrestle with Mullin. Should have had better sense on that, but he sure should have had better sense on going up there and being the court jester for the Republican Party, because that's what it appeared to me. Really quick, Hulk Hogan, fake name.
That's right.
Fake wrestling. I don't even know that an adult voter who was a Hulk fan when they was kids, because that's what WWE really appeals to. Now parents take them to it because their kids want to go, but all that crap is fake, including Hulk Hogan, if you know what I mean, brother. All fake. Kid Rock, watched his little, I don't know what you call it, but Kid Rock is don't even know what to call him, but I don't think that the folks he was entertaining there even understood what he was saying, other than fight and Trump. Last thing, Jacob. Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son. I don't know what his foundation is. I don't know what his church is. I really struggled with him and his 5-minute speech. Following a shyster like Hulk Hogan, and then making his speech. At no point in time did I ever hear him ask that group to pray for Joe Biden while he's suffering from COVID, which could be fatal for an 81-year-old guy. I did hear him say in his behalf, he did say, pray for the leaders of our country, independent, Democrat, and Republican, but he breezed through that really quick. I didn't understand that. Had he been making the opening statement at the RNC and just asked to pray for the country, blah blah blah, I wouldn't have no problem with it. But I'm trying to get it in my head why he was even there, other than to entertain the evangelicals, and they not a lot of evangelicals at that RNC. In truth, there's not. But I just really didn't understand it. I did look, and this could be bogus numbers, but I did see where his salary, I think, in 2022 was $880,000 a year, which in just a few years it puts him in that millionaire class. So I can see why he leans to the Republican Party. But listen, I know you got a guess. I ain't going to keep you. Got a few more things to say, but we'll weigh in on them at another time. Thanks,
all right,
Jacob.
brother. We'll look forward to hearing from you again. You have a good one. Yeah, I think that I'm a little bit more maybe sympathetic to wrestling in general than Joe sounds like he is. I think, and I don't think Joe would dispute that it does actually take a lot of athletic kind of. There's a lot of athleticism, even though obviously kind of the matches of the thing are like scripted, and it's like more like theater and opera, than actually a competition kind of thing. But It really is, all of the things that he said about Hulk Hogan are all true, and he's a scab and all of that kind of stuff. The thing about the evangelicals, I think judging by, Grinder, what was it, broke down, or their servers were like crashed is the word. I was forgetting the word. Grindr crashed because there was so much usage in Milwaukee last week.
So now Grindr is the app for gay men.
For gay
correct?
men, yes.
And there was an
homosexual
influx
men. Yes, an influx.
with the RNC. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. And yes, I also found Franklin Graham's address kind of strange, especially the part, and this was all throughout the convention, all of the stuff about, it being a miracle that Trump survived and all of this kind of stuff. And it's just kind of, really bizarre to imagine God like kind of just grabbing the bullet and pushing it towards this, firefighter behind Trump and protecting Trump. That's kind of a strange image of God and priorities that, that's not what I would have if I were to be a religious person, but nevertheless.
Well, I'll pray for you, Jacob.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.